video, we're going to start talking about community ecology. So a community are all the organisms that live together in a place, all the populations that live in the same area. Involves the interactions amongst the different population. It's the study of interactions among all populations in a common environment. So what are they going to look at? They're going to look at in what way do populations interact with other populations. So one important idea in population ecology is the idea of a niche or a niche. An organism's niche is its ecological role. What is its job in that community? So habitat is its address. Where does it live? Niche, what does it do in the habitat? Is it a decomposer? Is it a producer, consumer, whatever? There's an idea in population or community ecology, if two species compete for the exact same resources, one of them is going to outcompete the other one. Okay, called competitive exclusion. If species 2 is removed, then species 1 will occupy the whole tidal zone. But at lower depth, species 2 outcompetes species 1, excluding it from its potential or fundamental niche. So there's this idea called competitive exclusion that says that no two similar species can occupy the same niche at exactly the same time. So when we talk about niches, there's the fundamental niche, which is where could that organism live in the absence of competitors? What role could it fulfill in the absence of other competitors? And then there's the realized niche. Where does it actually fall in that community? So as a way to reduce competition, oftentimes species will do what's called resource partitioning. They'll take resources from different parts of the environment even though they need the same resources. One of the ways that can happen is through microhabitats. You can see these different anoles live in different parts of the forest, and by different parts, at different levels in that forest, if you will. You can see where these different anoles live. So one of the main things we look at when we look at community ecology are how do the different populations interact. So there's intraspecific competition, which is competition among individuals of the same population. That's population ecology. But there's also interspecific interactions. You can see some examples here in the pictures that I'm showing you. Some of those interspecific competitions, or interspecific interactions, are symbiotic interactions. Competition is one of those. Now, competition has a negative impact on both species because neither one of them can occupy their fundamental niche. They compete for some kind of limited resource. Competitive exclusion can play a role in this as well. In some cases, competitive exclusion means that these individuals cannot coexist in the same area. There's predation and parasitism, where the predator or the parasite benefits, but the host or the prey is negatively affected. Mutualism, where both individuals benefit from the association, like lichens, where you have an algae that lives inside a fungus and both benefit from that relationship. Commensalism, where one benefits and the other is not affected, like the cowbirds you can see pictured there with the water buffalo. The birds eat insects and things, and they don't hurt the cow. They don't really help it either. Spanish moss is another example of that. Barnacles attached to the whale doesn't really hurt the whale, but it doesn't help the whale. The barnacles get a place to live. They can filter food from around the whale when he eats and things like that. So this is an epiphyte, an air plant that lives on another plant like Spanish moss. That is a commensal relationship. There's the clownfish and the sea anemone. That's mutualism. Both of them benefit. Predation, where one benefits, the other's killed. And there's competition. Like when the mockingbird lays its egg in the nest of another species and the mockingbird outcompetes the other chicks. Both are negatively affected. So here you have ants living on this tree. They're putting their young on the tree, so the ants are benefiting. Does it hurt the tree or harm the tree? No, it doesn't. This is another. That's an example of commensalism. This is another example of commensalism here. Obviously, that's predation. This is mutualism. Prey and pollinator both benefit from that relationship there. Predation, in many cases, can drive evolution. Predator adaptations help them locate and subdue prey. Prey adaptations help them elude the predator and defend themselves from the predator. So there's a peregrine falcon that's caught a bird, or mountain lion there. So the pattern, like on zebras, helps make it harder for the predators to pick out individual animals. Speed, horns. For herbivore and plant relationships, you have plants developing spines or thorns or toxins to prevent the herbivores from eating those plants, like peppers, for instance. So predation provides a strong selective pressure on both the predator and the prey. So how do prey help? How do they protect themselves? They can hide from the predators. They can avoid detection using camouflage. They can warn predators, hey, I taste bad, I'm poisonous, whatever. Episodic coloration is an example of that. Basically, like bees and hornets and other things have that alternating yellow and black pattern telling things that, hey, I'm going to sting you if you bother me, so leave me alone. This is an example of Batesian mimicry, where individuals with the same defense have the same thing, and then malaria mimicry, we'll talk about that one as well. So there's an example of camouflage with our lizard. You can see right there's the lizard on the bark. He blends really well. This is warning coloration. Monarch butterflies taste really, really bad. Again, camouflage involves cryptic coloration. The whippoorwill, the lizards here, both predators and prey use camouflage. There's a toad. There's the lizard we looked at earlier. Mimicry is a way that some organisms can mimic a potentially bad tasting or harmful or poisonous individual to help avoid being eaten. So Batesian mimicry, palpable, less harmful species mimic a harmful model. So here we have a green parrot snake, which can bite an attacker. A hawkmouth larva can puff itself up so it looks very much like a green parrot snake. So it looks like this poisonous snake. This is an example of convergent evolution. The monarch butterfly and the viceroy butterfly look very much alike. One is poisonous and tastes really bad, and the other is edible. But animals that eat the monarch learn quickly, hey, that tastes bad, and leaves the viceroy butterfly alone without having to go through the expense of actually making the poison. You have flies that look like bees. Moths that look like bees. Malaria mimicry is where two or more protected species look like each other. Wasps and hornets and bees all have that alternating yellow and black pattern. You got a yellow jacket and a cuckoo bee. So predators may evolve innate avoidance of these types of organisms. They just know, hey, I should not bother with this guy. Again, aposematic species come to resemble each other. Bright coloration oftentimes means, hey, I taste bad or I'm poisonous, like the poison dart frogs or the monarch butterflies or some of the caterpillars and things like this, the coral snake here. Black, red, orange, yellow mean don't eat me, basically, to other living things. They learn quickly, don't mess with these guys. So this is, coral snake is poisonous, king snake is not. So what kind of mimicry would that be? You got one harmful individual that looks like one that's not. So the way to remember this, red on yellow means that's a poisoned fellow. Red on black, safe from attack.